Harry, what were the positives to come out of the West Coast game, mate?
Yeah, so I think it was a good game. We competed really well for most of the game. Obviously, it is disappointing to lose. We want to win. That's our main focus. But I think the main positive coming out of it was that we were able to compete with West Coast, so our top 4 team. So we competed for 4 quarters, and it was probably 10 or 15 minutes where we just sort of dropped off, and which was a bit disappointing and what let us down in the end. So that was the main positive, was that we were able to compete. So
Is that just down to experience, you think, mate?
Yeah, I think so. We're a pretty young team. There's a few of us that have only played a handful of games, so I think you could say that. But we're still learning, and each game we're getting better. So that's something we're sort of driving on ourselves to get better. So
Doesn't get any easier this week with Melbourne. Everyone's taking notice of their start. How have you kind of rated them from what you've seen and what you've heard and chatting with your teammates?
Yeah, definitely. So they obviously started off really well, 9-0. So we'll review them today. We'll go through sort of what they're doing well, and I think importantly that when we're playing our best footy, we can compete with anyone. So that's what we're going to take into the game. Obviously, we get to play in front of our home crowd, full capacity. So, like I said, we'll just compete. We'll bring our footy game, and hopefully we'll come across with our first win against them.
A lot of talent in their midfield. For you personally, do you like to rise to that occasion? Do you like to take on, what's deemed as one of the best teams and some of the best players in the AFL?
Yeah, definitely. I think to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So, obviously, Melbourne's midfield with Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, they're all playing really well. So, to beat them, we just got to compare to them, compete against them, and like I said, to beat the best, we've got to be the best. So,
looking forward to going up against any of those guys in particular? Are there any that you kind of think, like, I want to have a crack at Petrarca, a guy who's playing really well, or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I debuted last year against Melbourne, so I stood Oliver and Viney. So they're obviously going really well. So to compete with them would be great. So just to stand on them, obviously I can learn a lot off that as well. So it'll be a good competition.
What about the ruck? Surely when you come up against someone like Maxi, who's one of, if not the best ruckman in the comp, how do you guys plan for, I assume losing a fair amount of hit-outs?
Yeah, we'll back in Rob. Obviously, Rob's a really good ruckman himself, so we'll back him in to compete against Gorn. But like I said, we're just going to play one-on-one against that midfield. We'll compete against them and give us a bit. Hopefully, Rob can give us a good look as well, and then we'll just go from there.
How have you seen Rob this year? Last year he was stunning. We all thought he was clearly your best and fairest. This year he's perhaps struggled a little bit to reach those lofty heights that we set for him. Is that a fair assessment?
I still think he's going reasonably well. I think he's competing really well. He's still giving us good looks in the ruck. So I think he's still moving around the ground really well. Obviously he can go up forward and take some marks as well. So I think he's still playing reasonably footy. We've still got the back end of the season to come. So I think he's finding his groove now, and hopefully can play a bit better footy.
Is there a sense of frustration that you've been able to be so good for periods, Saz, and then the drop off obviously cost you? Does it start to get a little frustrating knowing how good your best can be? Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, it's disappointing to lose. Like, we want to win footy, we want to play at our best and win games. So that's something we're trying to get better at. Like we said, we are a young group and we're improving each week. So we're just trying to really home on those 10 or 15 minutes where we do lack and drop off a bit. So that's probably our main focus going forward, is as a group when we are losing the game of footy, we really got to come back and compete. So your debut was at the Adelaide Oval, I reckon, wasn't it? So How far do you reckon you've come since the first time you run out against the Demons now, almost sort of 12 months later? Yeah, I was definitely really nervous. I remember my debut quite well, actually. It was obviously nervous. First game was always going to be nervous, but definitely this year I've just grown a whole lot more. Each game I've sort of played and just learning more, getting more confident. So I'm just taking each game as it comes, and hopefully we get a win against Melbourne this week. Are there any sort of stars of the comp Tim Kelly on the weekend, are there some that you may have come up against in the first half of this season where you've thought, all right, I've learned a little bit off him, I could apply that to my game? Yeah, I think Tim Kelly on the weekend was great, just the way he tacked the footy. Obviously moves really well defensively and offensively, so I think he's a great player who you can sort of look up to, so just his skills as well. So he was a great player. First time I come up against him as well, so he was good.
How do you go with losing? I don't know whole lot about your junior career, but I know at school you probably didn't lose too many games of footy. How do you personally handle losing games of footy?
Yeah, I'm really competitive, so I do not like losing. I think everyone in the Crows doesn't like losing, so the main focus of us is just to keep positive. So we just got to keeping our heads high. We sort of review the game, look where we went wrong, look at the mistakes, then we move on to next week.
You had a great year, Harry. Really, like Drop said, come a long way since you debuted. Probably your disposal efficiency was down just a little bit against the Eagles. Do you do much about that, or is it just something you kind of chalk up to, week to week? Sometimes you have a down week, or do you kind of obsess over things like that? How do you kind of treat it after a game?
No, not really. I don't really look into too much stats. I sort of just focus on what I did well for the team. So, some weeks I might be down a bit on efficiency. Some weeks I might be higher than usual. So, the way I sort of review my game is sort of how I help the team out the best. So, that's our main focus. And,
Do you put it down to kind of decision making or skills or that kind of thing? Or like, how do you kind of,
Yeah, I guess the decision making would be one, under pressure as well. So I guess at times, teams bring a lot more pressure than others. So I think West Coast were pretty good at that pressure on the weekend. But
And just on Matty Crouch, we're still kind of waiting to hear if he's going to have surgery or how things are going to go. I guess it must be frustrating a little bit as a midfielder to know that there's a guy of such talent, but you just can't get him in there because of obviously his injury. Is that kind of how it feels for you? Just a little bit frustrating that you can't get him in there?
Yeah, I think Matty might be a bit frustrated himself. He's obviously been training really hard and trying to get back on the track. I don't actually know exactly when his return date is, but he's been out on the track training. He's been a great role model. Obviously last year he was sort of the bloke that I looked up to, and he helped me throughout the year, especially with the COVID. So he's a great role model for all of us, especially in the midfield. So we're hopefully looking for him to come back this year. So, but no, I'm not sure what the return date is.
Does he still do a bit of mentoring with you, or kind of what's that relationship like?
Yeah, definitely. So he's obviously a vice captain of the club, and he's always around. With me personally as well, we sit down a fair bit, discuss how my game went, just stoppage, viewing all sorts of different stuff. So no, he's been great, and especially last year as well, during that COVID period, he was great. Sort of trained with him one-on-one and sort of showed me what the level to train out was like. So no, he's been awesome for me.
Harry, does your role change at all as the season goes forward? Do you move into a different area? Are these conversations you're having with Nixie, or are you pretty locked in where you are?
I think I'm pretty locked in, sort of bit of midfield, bit of forward. Obviously played a little bit more forward on the weekend, obviously with Ned McHenry and Lockie Murphy being injured. So, they're probably my main two roles, and I've sort of locked in, and I'm enjoying playing my footy there. So,
Can you become a small forward?
If the team needs it, I can definitely play up forward. So, but I do enjoy playing in the midfield as well. So,